Red Notice with The Rock?
Oh, yes. Um, that movie was about, you know, good and evil, in that there's a FBI character. It turns out like to somebody who wants to steal something, and they're not supposed to. But yeah, it was. So you're like, what's going on? It's interesting. The guy is was it what's his name? Ray
Ryan Reynolds?
Orion Reynolds.
Mhm.
So they both want to figure out each other in this relationship. And then there's a third person who wants to be good, but he wants to be bad, but um, but it's not good. Yeah, so it starts like that. What do you think, Ray?
It's like Thomas Crown Affair meets, Fast and Furious. It was
Right.
just to give some little bit of context. Okay, this is a Netflix exclusive. It was once Universal Pictures, but they sold it to Netflix. And this was shot at the height of COVID. So they were in a bubble in Atlanta. So this was at the height of like fear, the height of spread. And it was a very closed, extremely closed set. Kind of like, when you were watching the NHL hockey finals or the NBA finals, they were in a bubble. So
Mhm.
this entire set, the film crew, the actors, they were like living amongst themselves. It was an airtight, high security location. So it kind of feels like a very hot. You could tell it was an expensive movie, but then sometimes some of the action pieces might seem somewhat stagnant, or it wasn't going to where. My only theory, because of the COVID pandemic, they had to do a lot of rewrites and structure it differently. So things that they can and cannot do, like jettison across the world to do such and such, or do certain things, it was very controlled. Even the final in the third act, where they're driving like the Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom,
Mhm.
where they're driving the tank through the underground cave.
Yeah.
It was, you could tell it's all CGI, but it's a very controlled set.
Mhm.
And the one thing that made me laugh is the scene where I think they're in Cairo and he's about to do a chase. The Rock's about to do it. Or sorry, Dwayne Johnson is about to do a car chase. He gets into this car. He's about to take off, and he goes no more than maybe 4 feet and crashes the car,
Mhm.
which would have been hopefully an amazing car chase sequence, but didn't happen with Ryan Reynolds in a moped.
Mhm. Yeah.
So this is a Netflix exclusive, as I mentioned before, directed by Ryan Marshall Thurber. He's worked with The Rock in Central Intelligence and Skyscraper. He's probably done one of my favorite all-time road trip movies, and We're the Millers. And he did Dodgeball, director of Dodgeball. So comedy, he understands it. He's worked with The Rock quite a bit. And this is a buddy, I guess, art theft, cop robber chase movie. I don't know how successful that really is, or how that really translated. I think Ryan Reynolds did most of the heavy lifting in this in terms of the comedy, and The Rock was a straight man. And I don't know if that kind of handcuffed him a little bit or not, but playing the straight man without being able to riff himself. Whereas you see him riffing with Kevin Hart or with Jason Statham in Fast and Furious or Central Intelligence or Jumanji, he can really go with the best of them. But he had to
Yeah.
play very, very straight here. Gal Gadot as another world-renowned art thief, and they're going after this MacGuffin of these like jeweled eggs.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the national treasure. It's a world hopping type of thing. Ryan Reynolds is a character who is pretty much, I think, does all the heavy lifting here. You're sympathetic with him. You understand his perspective, if you will. He wants to do good deep down inside, but he is a thief, and you get to understand his motivations of why he's doing what he's doing as the movie progresses. So that was really good. I think the all-star in this movie is Ryan Reynolds, because he does all the lifting. I think the chase is good. Some of it's a little wacky, like the idea of a can of Coke can dissolve an egg that's made out of gold or metal. I would like to know how that was done, or why. A cameo of Aviation Gin and Turmaran Tequila, which is The Rock's and Ryan Reynolds drinks that they sponsor. So that was kind of interesting. What were your thoughts? Any kind of like last minute ideas?
Yeah, I did. I really, I kept going, go, go, go,
Mhm.
um, be bad, be good, you know, don't do that way. It's interesting.
Mhm.
In And I like the way it ended because you think it's gonna go one way,
Mhm.
which is good or evil.
But it was by the numbers good, meaning it hit all the right marks. But I don't know um, how well it would have done if it hit the theaters. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it didn't feel like a blockbuster film, but you have like some of the biggest Hollywood name superstars to
Mm,
date on this movie. So I'm thinking the budget must have been for the salaries alone must have been an employee like the city's salary for a week. You know, like how much of it is it on the screen? How much is it developing, being fleshed out? I have to believe there were a lot of rewrites. I have to believe there was a lot of things because certain things made sense, but I had questions like Nolan Booth, that's the Ryan Reynolds character. He knew where the egg was at the end, the third egg. He knew where it was. He could have gone he could have gotten for it at any point. And the last thing was when he put the Coke on the egg in the beginning.
mhm.
Ryan Reynolds' character could have left, but yet he stuck around to see what was going to happen and risk getting caught. So
Mhm.
if you're the art thief and you already have the egg, why are you going to stick around and see what happens? What the Rock's going to do before
Yeah.
taking off?
Mm,
He had a buffer, and no one knew who he was. He didn't. No one knew what he looked like. So
mhm.
yet he was still in the room.
Wow. Cool.
So this little things I thought, yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, it makes sense, but it's just like he could have left at any point without getting
Mhm.
caught.
Wow.
Um,
Cool.
was there a scene that you thought maybe like, wow, why did this happen, or why this happen, or any like red lights that pop in your head when watching this movie?
Um, I the one on the bridge,
Hmm.
the one with the bridge, and they're going right across it, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, that one was interesting. It was one after the other person, right?
Right.
Why is that scene like that? They're both going right across the bridge. I'm
Yeah.
thinking, wow, that one was interesting, and wow. Anyway, that was a good shot. I don't understand why it was there, but it was good.
Yeah, they did some interesting choices. I mean, there's plenty of good one-liners. I mean, I think
Yeah.
Gal Gadot's my favorite line from her was when she talks to Ryan Reynolds, and she goes, "That's not you're not eating Gouda. That's uncooked pork." Like there were certain like
Oh,
lines that are going on that was quite
yeah.
funny,
Hmm.
and the bickering between Ryan Reynolds and The Rock was always really good.
You're right.
They go to Belize, like where like Ryan Reynolds' character has an island off Belize, and he was like waiting for him. It's like how does he know where he is, where he lives?
Right.
So there are some things maybe he's a little too convenient,
Mm.
but unless you know the person really, really well, like you track this guy for so long that you can basically anticipate where they're going to be going and figuring them out ahead of time because you know them so well, it makes sense.
Cool. Okay.
Well, on that note, I am Ray.
And I'm Evy.
We'll talk to you next week. Take care.
Take care.